Okay, so here is another video for you. This time we're going to tackle setting up DoubleTap input to execute whatever kind of movement or code that you want. I'm going to go with the same project that I had put together for the dashing and sprinting in that last video. Let's see here, and I'll just figure this out as we go, and just that way you can kind of walk through my thought process and see how this works. One thing I noticed though real quick is I noticed that in that last video I had put all of this stuff here dealing with the left and right input and walking underneath this condition of if dashing is false. So this not dashing equal true part in both of these lines is actually redundant. It doesn't actually need to be there. So we're going to just take that out real quick. Okay, so let's think about this for a second. I think what we'll do is, since the most common use of the double tap is for a character that's walking to then start running faster, I mean, we could do dashes, we could do special attack or whatnot, but for now, why don't we just go ahead and change the player's walk speed to a faster speed, to a run speed. That way we don't have to touch any of this code down here that deals with his basic left-right motion. We can just leave it in there, and just if the walk speed gets altered, then he'll just walk faster. And if you recall in the last video, we had done that very, very simply just by setting up an input that I called sprint. On the controller it was R1, and so when you hold R1 in, it changes out this walk speed to a higher number. It went from 200 to 500. So that's pretty good for that if we want to do it with a button. But if we'd rather do it as a double tap, I think we can do this pretty easily. Let's see here. For starters, though, just to kind of make it a little bit easier to tell the difference, I'm going to give us a faster run speed, walk speed, when we're running or sprinting. But now, instead of utilizing an input to make this change, let's create a variable. Let's call it sprinting. We'll set it to false in the beginning. So we'll just replace this part of the code out with if sprinting equals true, walk speed equals 600. If sprinting equals false, walk speed equals 200. So that should be pretty basic. Let's see here. So now the next step is going to be, well, how do we set sprinting to true or set it back to false? I think we could probably handle all of this just up here in the process function. We don't need to do anything in the physics process, because this is all just input related, not really physics related. So when you double tap, the thing is okay, you press the button once, you press, like if I'm moving to the right, if I press the right button, the right directional button once, and then in order to double tap, I need to let go of it and then push it again really fast. So I think what we need to do is set up a variable that will turn to true shortly after we've pressed the button, but then will turn back to false. after a certain set amount of time. So we'll go ahead and put a timer on our player node here. Okay, just disconnect this for now. And for our timer, we want to figure out what a good time is for to give us enough time to press the button the second time, but not too much time. For now, just for test purposes, we'll go about a half second. That's pretty generous, I think. And we'll go over here to node. Oh, another thing too that's important to note is that when we put a timer in, especially for what we're going to use it for, we want to make sure that we click one shot. Otherwise, every time the timer counts down and then does what it's supposed to do, then it'll keep repeating itself in a loop over and over and over. So we only want it to fire once. So make sure you click that box on. Now we'll go over to the node tab here. And for timer, we want to make sure that we utilize the timeout. So when the timer's time runs out, we create this signal here. We're going to go ahead and connect it to our kinematic body 2D script. We just hit the connect there. And you'll see down at the bottom here that they generate some code for us already. A function that is related to the timer timing out. And when that happens, whatever we want our script to do, we're going to type it into here. But what do we want it to do? How are we going to utilize this? Well, we need some sort of variable to let us know that double tap is happening, or that we're in a state where if we press that right or left button a second time, that the green light is go, and that we can do whatever we need to do. Maybe I'll call the variable double tap. We'll set it to false. Now, thinking about this though, this might not be the best way to do this. Some people probably have better, more efficient ways. But one of the annoying things that I've run into when I've tried to do double tap code before is that if right inputs and left inputs both initiate the double tap system, then sometimes you might run into the situation where you hit the right button and then try to turn around and go back left, and it automatically registers as a double tap. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do two variables. We're going to do double tap right, DTR, and then we'll do a separate one for double tap left. So that way the two run independent of each other, and we don't have any of that interference issue going from right to left or left to right. Okay, so let's see now. What do we do next? So basically, we want it to be that when we press the button right, that it's going to turn this to true. And it'll remain true until this timer times out and tells us that it's going to be false. So that's what we'll do. We'll have the timer, whenever the timer finishes running, it's going to turn DTL to false, and it's also going to turn DTR to false. We can do both in the same timer. I think that should be okay. Alright, what's this nonsense here? Just clear that, that's annoying. Okay, so whatever button we press that's going to turn this to true should also probably turn it back, should also start the timing. Now, let's see, I think the better way is going to be, instead of turning either of these to true when we press left or right, we're going to wait until we release it. Because the thing is if I'm walking my character across the screen, I'm pressing and holding the right button, and then I let go of the right button and then tap it again, I might not necessarily intend to start running right away, especially if I was on the edge of a platform and trying to adjust my character. Well, no, wait, that doesn't make sense. Just disregard what I said there. But, if I'm just walking and then I stop and then make a little adjustment, as opposed to if I'm very deliberately just saying tap, tap, and then that starts the run. So I think, yeah, that'll be the better bet. We're going to do it when we release the button instead of when we press the button. So here's how we'll do this. We'll say if, let's see, is action press dash, we don't need that. Yeah, so we don't want to mess around with when it's just pressed. Let's come down here. Yeah, we'll do it here. Okay, so if input dot is action just released left, let's see, then we'll say DTL equals true, and we're going to use a $sign so that we can then access our timer node, timer.start. So what that should do is, as soon as I let go of the button, DTL should be true, and the timer will start, and then half a second later, our function down to the bottom is going to turn it back to false. So let's give that a test. Let's see how that looks. We'll at the top of my function process, we'll go ahead and do a print function just so we can kind of see what's going on, and we're going to print DTL since that was the one I just set up. And so down here in our output, we'll see the state of that boolean, whether it's true or false. So by default it's false. Here's my player. When I push right, it's still false, but when I release right, oh wait a minute, that's right. I forgot. I only did it for the left. So here we go. We're going left. False, false, false. I let go. True. And then half a second later, it's false again. True, false. So as you can see, I have plenty of time that while it's true, I could press the button again, and that would go ahead and start whatever I wanted it to do. Okay. Cool. So let's go ahead and repeat this for the right input, and we'll change this to DTR. And that should work for both. I'm just going to get rid of my print function for now. So that's great. We now have our booleans firing, going back to true, or I'm sorry, going to true and then back to false, with a nice little timer there. But the next thing that we need to do is figure out, well, how the heck then are we going to change sprinting from false to true and then back to false again? So we'll say, let's see, how do I want to do this? Alright, so yeah, I think we could probably just do it up here in the same piece of code that we did for setting our direction. So if is action just pressed, and we'll say if DTL equals true, then we'll say sprinting equals true. Alright, and then we'll go over here and we'll say the same thing. If DTR, for double tap right, equals true, then sprinting equals true. Okay, so that should work to set our sprinting to true. We just need to set it back to false, but let's try that first. Let's just give that a go, see if that works for us here. So, oh, I took out my print function, but that's okay. So we're going nice and slow, and then a double tap, we're going fast. Good, good, good. Ah, but now the walking speed is permanently stuck at sprinting speed. But we saw that it did work. So let's figure out how to make this sprinting go back to false. Okay, so I think we could probably, just as we did it with the just pressed bit of code we had up here, let's try adding it down in here. We'll say if sprinting equals true, then sprinting equals false. And I think we could just copy and paste that same bit of code down here. And just to try test things out, I mean, I know we'll be able to see it with the speed, but I just like to use this print function to see what's happening. Okay. Maybe this will work. Let's see. I'm not sure if this is the same exact way that I've done this in the past. Alright, so sprinting is false. Still false. Still false. And now we'll double tap. We're running. I let go. It's back to false again. Ah, there we go. Double tap. Running. False. Running. False. Nice. Running and not running. Ah, nice. So already there's a nice double tap. Now let's see something here. What if I go right left or left right? Yeah, it doesn't do that annoying accidental sprinting. Now if you wanted to make it so that you could go right and then left and automatically sprint, then we could probably just do all of this with just one of these two variables here. And just call it double tap instead of right and left. Some people like that function. I don't care for it too much. Yeah, so let me see. Anything else I'm leaving out or forgetting about here? Yeah, I mean, I guess the code would be a lot simpler if we just did it where right and the left could also initiate the sprint. But yeah, I think this works. I think this should do it. It feels like I'm forgetting something. I hate that feeling. It feels like there's something else I needed to explain in here. So I guess we'll just recap then real quick, just to make sure everything is very clear. So we have dashing. I'm sorry, we're not doing dashing in this video. We're doing sprinting. If it's false, then that puts our where is it? If sprinting is false, then we have our normal walking speed. But if it's true, we modify it up to a higher level. And then whatever level that walk speed is at, it modifies our physics process down here. Whenever left or right is just pressed, it's going to turn DTL or DTR. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Whenever we just press these, if it's true, if DTL is true or DTR is true, it's going to set that sprinting boolean to true for us. Otherwise, the only thing it's going to do is just modify our direction variable. if left or right was just released while sprinting is true, it's going to cancel sprinting back out to false, so we go back to walking speed. Otherwise, if it, if this isn't happening, then it's going to set DTL or DTR to true. It's also going to launch a timer that will turn these back to false if we don't do anything about it before the timer times out. And that's just about it. Obviously, you could do more things with this. You could say, here, if sprinting is true, then we could change the frames of our animated sprite or whatever, to have our character have different frames to his animation that reflect that he's running or sprinting. Just for fun, let's say, oops, I'll use the $sign so I can access my sprite. We'll say sprite.modulate. Oh, I haven't done this in a while. How do I do this? Modulate equals color? Is this how you do it? I can't remember. Yeah, I think this is how I do it. And then we'll say, we'll go over here, we'll pull up his visibility, we'll modulate, we'll turn him red when he's running. It's like he's on fire. I'm gonna go ahead and Control C and copy. I guess you could right click also and copy that code for the color. And we'll just go ahead and paste that in there. And then we'll go ahead and whenever sprinting is false, we'll come back to this and then we'll add that in there. Let's see if that works. See if I got my syntax right. I haven't done modulate color like this in a while, so I can't remember if that's the way you're supposed to set it up or not. Well, if we see an error, we'll know. Okay, so here we are. Time to run. Boom, he's red. Boom. Nice. And he goes back to blue. Awesome. Awesome. We could, for more fun, we could add a tween. That would be a whole other tutorial, but I'll just do it real fast, just to see here. Let's say tween dot interpolate property. We're going to, let's see, it'll be the sprite who we are changing. The property that we're changing is modulate. Let's see, is it a lowercase m? Yeah, make sure it's a lowercase m. Let's see, what is it? Oh, foo. How do we do this? Can I just do the values? I forget if that's the way that works. Or does it have to be part of like a vector or something? And then the timing at which we change it would be we'll just say 1 second, and for the we'll just do linear type of transition, and we'll just ease in. And Okay, and then the other thing I always forget to do is say tween.start. I always forget to do that. And then we'll do the same thing down here, except that we'll do, we'll just swap these guys out. This might not be the right way to do this, so we'll see here. Yeah, I bet we're going to get an error because this is, oh yeah. Yeah, lots of errors piling up there. So yeah, I forgot how to do this. Sprite dot, we'll say whatever his initial color is to, oh foo, how do you do this? Is it maybe this? I think maybe that's the way it should have been. Yeah. Okay. Maybe that way. Okay. And then let me just copy this. Let's see here. Boom. Oh, that was interesting. Oh, nice. Yeah, that did work. Ha! The only reason it started kind of weird was just because since I had been messing around with it, my player was probably already red at the beginning of the game. So let me just do that. Yeah, there we go. So now there he is, and when I walk, he's fine. When I run, he turns red, and then gradually turns back when he's not running. That's kind of cool. And I could play around with that and say maybe I just want it to happen like within like a quarter of a second. I don't want it to be like immediate, but I don't want it to be like too slow either, since it gets running pretty quickly. Yeah, that looks nice. Boom. Here we go, he's moving, and then sprinting. Alright. Well, there you have it. So if you have any questions for me, let me know, and I'd be happy to help you out. If you want me to do a more in-depth video on tweens at some point, I can. Though there are some excellent videos out there already. Highly recommend that you look that up because we can do a lot of fun stuff with that. You know, and then also if you need more help on how to use timers, I'd be happy to do that as well. Again, tons of great videos already out there about that, but as you said, not too many on the DoubleTap. Or like some of the DoubleTap tutorials I have seen, like they were just trying to be way too complicated, and like for beginners it was too hard to understand. They were trying to add all this extra stuff in that they were expecting you to already know. So hopefully this is pretty basic, pretty simple for most people. And as I said, I will upload a copy of this project to my itch.io account and share that link with you. I kind of delayed on that a little bit just because I knew I was going to be doing this DoubleTap tutorial as well, so I figured I would wait until I had that also built into this code, just to have that all in there for you when you have this to go over. Alright, thanks for watching. Leave me some comments, let me know what you think, and God bless and happy coding.